Buying a home here in the Bay Area is no small feat. It can be very challenging, and in this video, I'm gonna go over 3 of the things that I personally do with all of my buyers to help make their lives just a little bit easier and ultimately help put them in the best position possible to win a house here in the Bay Area. Make sure to watch till the end of the video where I walk through my 4th bonus strategy, where I walk through how I help buyers who also need to sell their home at the same time. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Danny Gould. I'm the CEO of the Selling Silicon Valley Group. And over the last 8 years, after graduating from Stanford University, I've helped well over 200 families buy and sell homes here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I've learned a few things, a few tricks of the trade over the last 8 years. And even though market conditions have changed, I've been in hot markets, I've been in colder markets, neutral markets, I've been in the middle of COVID, seeing all the stuff that happened then. So I've seen a lot of different conditions. And the one thing that remains fairly consistent is that buying a home here in the Bay Area is one of the most challenging things to do. I mean, there are a lot of markets out there that are difficult, but the Bay Area has consistently been one of the, if not the most competitive housing market in the entire country. So in this video, I'm gonna break down 3 things that I do just a little bit differently to help my buyers succeed in this incredibly challenging and competitive market. All right, so the first thing that I do just a little bit differently than most other agents out there is that me and my team, we give our buyers access to exclusive off-market opportunities. Now, for starters, let's define what an off-market property is. An off-market property is a home that is currently for sale that is not actively listed on the multiple listing service, nor is it on Zillow or Redfin or any of the major websites. Now, the 2 questions that I get asked most frequently are, why would anyone want to sell their home off-market, and how is it that we get access to these opportunities? So the answer to the first question, why would anyone want to sell their home off-market, is a fairly complex answer because actually everyone has a slightly different reason. But I can tell you that the majority of the time, off-market opportunities are actually homes that are going to be coming on the market. Like in 2, 3, 4 weeks, they will be listed publicly online. But because I have relationships with certain agents, I will know about these homes before they are listed online. And so it's not like the seller doesn't intend to put their home on the market, but a lot of times, if we know about these properties before they're going to be put on the market, and the seller is willing to let us into the home before it goes on the market, and they're willing to look at an offer before they go on the market, then sometimes we can actually put you in a situation where, in the total absence of competition, you are giving the seller an offer that they really can't look away from. And a lot of times we're able to pair buyer and seller off market while they're preparing their home to go on the market. Then you get the home and the seller gets to avoid the hassle and the headache of having to prepare their home for sale and put it on the market and get out of the house for open houses. And there's also uncertainty there. You are a certain buyer, and a lot of sellers really value that. Now, do I think that sellers would make more money if they put their home on the market every single time? Absolutely. And the sellers know that. But sometimes that money is not actually the most important thing. It's the convenience and the speed and the lower overall effort required. That's way more important to them, or that just as important to them as like getting a great price. Sometimes there are cases in like the more luxury and high-end markets where sellers, because of privacy reasons or concerns, they elect to actually not publicly list their home on the market. And so it's only available on private channels. So those are really the 2 main reasons why a seller wouldn't want to put their home on the market. It's not that they didn't want to put their home on the market. It's that a buyer got their foot in the door before they went on the market, or sometimes for privacy concerns, they just elect to not list their home publicly for sale and just have it available on private networks. And to answer the second question, which is how do we get access to these exclusive off-market opportunities? There's really 3 main ways that we go about sourcing our off-markets. And so the first one is actually through a private portal that we use that's called Top Agent Network, where really only the top 10% of agents here in the Bay Area have access to this community. And so because we have access to this portal, we are actually able to interface with the top 10% of agents around the Bay Area. So it is a very exclusive and difficult network to access and become a part of, but once you get access to it, it's Pareto's principle. 10% of the agents, the top 10% of the agents are going to do 90% of the business. And so by having access to this portal, we actually get access to a lot of the listings that are coming on the market before they get listed online. This has proven to be a really powerful tool over the years for me and for my buyers. A lot of times to get into a house as it's being prepared for sale, and before anyone else can get their foot in the door, we come in, my buyers love the house, they make an offer on the property, and before any other buyer can come in, they make an offer and the seller and the buyer agree to a price. The second way in which we source off-market opportunities is through our brokerage. We belong to eXp Realty. There's over 13,000 agents here in the state of California, thousands now of agents here in the Bay Area as well. And so when any of those agents, just like Top Agent Network, have a off-market opportunity for us, or that's something that's coming soon, going to be available in the next couple of weeks, same story, same principle. We can then take our buyers to those listings before they go on the market. And if the buyer likes the home and wants to make an offer, we can sometimes get into contract with the seller before any other buyers can see the house. And then finally, the third main way in which we source off-market opportunities for our buyers is actually through direct-to-seller campaigns. And so what we'll do a lot of times is if our buyers are looking in a specific community or neighborhood, and maybe we've gotten beaten out by another buyer on a house and there's nothing for sale in that community or that neighborhood, a lot of times what we will do is we will actually market directly to the sellers in that community via a combination of different marketing methods. Letters, flyers, door knocking, cold calling. We will do any and all of those things to get in front of sellers in a specific community that you're interested in. This aggressive approach has actually proven to be very impactful in terms of helping our buyers find homes that no other buyers would ever know about. And so I've been able to help several of my clients over the years find houses that no one else would have known the seller was interested in selling, but because we went through that additional effort to reach out to the sellers directly, we were able to match seller and buyer completely offline. Now, if you'd like to get access to these exclusive off-market opportunities, and if you'd like to get access to some of the portals that I was referring to, like Top Agent Network, you can text the word off-market to the number down below to get started today. All right, so that brings us to strategy number 2 that we use to help make our buyers' lives a little bit simpler and help them get into contract in this extremely difficult and competitive market. So the second thing that we do is introduce our clients to a lender that we know and that we trust. And not just any lender, but a lender that we know can do 2 things specifically. The first one is a lender that can pre-underwrite your loan. Now, what does pre-underwriting mean and how does it benefit you? Well, you might be familiar with the term pre-approval. Now, when you decide to buy a house, you're going to have to show the seller that you have been pre-approved for a loan. And the way that you do that is you go to a lender, you talk to them, you give them some documentation, and they spit out a letter that says that you have been pre-approved for a loan. Notice how they say pre-approved. They actually have not approved you yet for the loan. And that entire process by which they approve you for the loan is known as the underwriting process. And so that typically happens when we're in contract. But the lenders that we work with actually can do that before we actually write our first offer. And so instead of waiting during the contract period like this, like trying to figure out like, oh, hopefully we get it. No, we actually do and make sure that our lender does all of that due diligence up front so that you don't have to second guess yourself during escrow and see like, hey, are we gonna get the loan? Are we not gonna get the loan? And then also what this does is it gives us the ability to come in without a loan contingency. And the reason that this is so powerful is when you are conditionally approved by the bank, basically what they have done is they have guaranteed that you are going to receive that money. And so that added sense of security does a couple of things. Number one, it gives us more confidence going into the offer writing scenario, or it gives us more confidence going into the offer writing process. But number two, it allows us to convey this security to the seller as well. You know the old saying, cash is king. It's really not cash that's king. It's the security of cash that's king. And so by having our file and having our loan pre-underwritten, we can actually instill that same sense of security in the seller as a cash offer does. After all, they're getting the money. It's just that instead of the seller walking in with a briefcase full of cash, it's the lender walking in with a briefcase full of cash. But that security, that added level of security is there. In addition to pre-underwriting, we also make sure that the lenders that we introduce you to are going to be able to fight for you. And this is something that is highly overlooked, especially when it comes to the lender, because lenders are typically not involved in the negotiation process when it comes to like helping you get your offer accepted. But we actually like to involve the lender fairly heavily in the negotiation process, simply because we want to instill confidence in the listing agent and in the seller that we're going to do everything that we are going to close, right? And so by having a lender who's really good at negotiating, by having a lender who's really good at instilling confidence in the listing agent and the seller, we can give them an added level of confidence that most other buyers will not be able to give them. If we're going up against 5 other offers who are all financed, and you are the only offer who's pre-underwritten and whose lender bothered to reach out and actually vouch for you and let the listing agent know that you're going to close, these are small, tiny little things that make a massive difference, especially when you're going up against other offers. So this is a tactic that is not often used and something that we highly recommend all of our buyers do and stand out from the sea of other buyers. So that brings us to the third thing that we do just a little bit differently with our buyers. And I should say that over 70% of our buyers actually get their very first offer accepted. And that is a statistic that I'm super proud of. And the reason that we do that is because we follow the same negotiation process every single time, the same strategies. So most agents will not follow the same formula every single time. And for that reason, they get inconsistent results. But with our clients, with our buyers, we actually follow the same exact formula every single time. And what that does is it allows us to generate above average results. Now, I could really make a whole separate video on this topic. In fact, I might do that. But to keep it concise, the crux of the negotiation strategy and what really, in my opinion, drives our metrics and drives our success metrics so high is that I really make it a point to do everything that I can to get the most amount of information from the listing agent possible. Now, this might sound simple in nature, but it's really not easy to do. Because what I need to do in a very short amount of time is build so much rapport with the listing agent that they're willing to overshare, right? And that is actually something that is very difficult to do. And so what I like to do, and what I've done in the past, and what I will continue to do, is when we are going into any offer writing situation where you have decided like, hey, I want to buy this house, then from that moment on, I start my rapport building with the listing agent. And through a series of phone calls and text messages and emails, I will do everything that I can to extrapolate the most amount of information so that on game day, when we're supposed to write the offer, they are giving me the information that we need to decide whether or not it makes A, sense for us to write, and if we do want to write, what price we need to write in order to win. You'd be surprised, but most of the time, my buyers actually know exactly the number that they need to write in order to win the house. And either one of two things happens. They decide that that is a price they want to pay, or they decide that that is not the price they want to pay and they prefer to move on. Both are great outcomes and both give us the clarity that we need in order to move forward. Either we're writing an offer and we know that it's going to be a very competitive offer, or we have decided that we don't want to waste our time with this property. Both are great and favorable outcomes. All right, so that leads us to my fourth bonus strategy. And if you've made it this far in the video, you're not yet subscribed. What are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up while you're at it. It costs you nothing and it helps you get notified every single time we post a new video to this channel, whether it be tips like this for home buyers and sellers, and also housing market data, which we post a weekly video going over the latest housing market report. So this bonus fourth strategy are for buyers who are also looking to sell their home at the same time. And what we actually do with these buyers is we sit down with you and we go over the 5 different strategies that we use to help our buyers who also need to sell their home at the same time. And actually, if you are in that situation right now, or you're thinking that you might be in that situation in the near future, I put together a free downloadable guide for you to actually see all of those strategies and for you to basically pick which strategy you think is right for you. So you can text the word move up to the number down below. That's move up to the number down below, and we will get a copy of that sent straight to your inbox. Now you can read the guide and that's great, but what we do is we take it a step further and we actually do a full-blown consultation with you. We sit down, we assess your situation, we go over all of the different move up strategies, and we basically pick a plan A and a plan B. And the reason that this is so important is because a lot of buyers or a lot of clients really get stuck in this like, okay, we have a plan, right? Well, sometimes things don't go according to plan. Like sometimes we might say like, hey, we're gonna sell first, right? And then we'll rent back our property. That is one of the strategies. And then at that point, we'll like go out and look for a home. Well, that's a great plan A, you know, and a lot of my clients use that plan. But what happens if you find the perfect house and your home hasn't gone on the market yet? Like the absolute unicorn of unicorns. We've never seen a house that's this perfect and you're not in a position to do it. So we always have a plan B. We have a plan A, this is what we're doing, but if something changes or something happens that causes us to rethink our strategy, we have a plan B. So that's the benefit of having like a full-blown strategy session, and the benefit of having us on your side is that we're not just there to like help you think about how are we gonna achieve this task, but we're also gonna think of all of the different pitfalls that we've seen through experience, that I've seen through experience, and know, hey, it's good that we have this plan, but also we should be cognizant of the fact that like things don't always go according to plan. And if things don't go according to plan, what is our plan B that's going to keep us on track? And by the way, if you're currently thinking about buying a home, or if you need to sell a home and buy at the same time, and you're curious about what it means to work with me, you can just call or text me at the number down below. Phone's always on for you, especially my YouTube family. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. And that's the end of the video, everyone. So this is Danny Gould. I'm selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next video.